Okay, testing. Welcome to Programming Rainbow. In this video, we will continue on the series of Minesweeper in C and SDL3. This is the 17th video. If you'd like to follow along with this video, you can go to github.com, Programming Rainbow, and this will be called Minesweeper C SDL3. You can clone this repository, move inside the directory, and open it up with whatever editor you would like. Okay, I'm just going to show you the final code real quick. So this is Minesweeper. This is our seconds counting down. This is our mines that are indicated minus whatever mines that we indicate like this. So those aren't necessarily real mines under there. Those are just indications that we've put. And the indications just stop you from turning over that mine or that square. They do not win or lose the game. But to win the game, you have to turn over all non-mine squares. So this one right here indicates that this one is a mine because that is the only square that is not turned over that it's touching. So that's definitely a mine. This one, we already know this is a mine, so this cannot be a mine. Do you get it? Now this 2 here says it's touching 2 mines, so these have to be mines. That means this one over here, this 2 is touching these 2 mines. This one is not a mine. Okay, so we'll just kind of go around here. Whenever I know there's a mine and I see a 1, I can just uncover all the other ones around it. Like this one, I can uncover all of these because this is a mine. Okay. And these 2 are mines. And these 2 are mines. And there we go. I won the game. So that's Minesweeper real quick. And let me just show you what we're going to do in this one. So up here, you can see the title of whatever I'm working with. You know, this is where my tiling window manager says the title of what it is. So this is NeoVim right here, which is what I got open. But when I hover over this, it tells me the title right here of what this is. And it says Minesweeper Tiny Easy. So the tiny is the size, not the scale, but the size, the 9x9, that's the tiny size. And the easy is that it's only 8 mines. And then Minesweeper. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this dynamically. So watch this. When I change the size, see how it changes? Now it says large, easy, because I changed it from tiny to small to medium to large to huge. Right? And then if I change, this is easy, medium, hard, difficult, or very hard. Sorry. So we're changing the title of the game dynamically. So this is what we're going to be doing in this video. So we're basically going to be having fun with strings in C. And we will need a couple, I forgot to open it up, but we will need a couple new functions going on here. So let me check my notes real quick because I did forget to bring those new. Okay, so it's just one new function actually. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to open this up real quick. Let's see this one right here. So this is the new function that we're going to be using. This is SDL set window title, and this is for SDL3. It takes a pointer to the window, and it takes a const chart, you know, a pointer to a const. Sorry, it's an array of characters. Constant array of I don't know how to say it. Const char title is a pointer to a constant character, something like that. So basically, this constant string is going to be an input pointer to a window, and this does return if it fails or not. In my code, I actually don't check that, so we could change that. So I do check it. The bool returns true on success. Yeah. So we can just check that. In my notes, I didn't check it, but we could do that. It's not super important though, so I might skip it. Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to move my mic. Okay, So yeah, 50-50 whether I'm going to check that or not, because I kind of don't care that much about it. It's not like an important thing. It's not like loading assets and things like that, but we can do that, so it's not really a big deal. So the main thing is we need to be able to dynamically deal with strings, and I'm not really comfortable setting up a buffer that is predetermined, because that sounds like it's at some point you're going to overflow it. Even though I kind of know how large the strings are, I don't feel comfortable in C just making character, arrays and possibly overflowing them. So I'm going to heap allocate the strings with calloc. Okay. So I'm just going to go into basically building this function. I'm just going to have a function that creates a string. I'm going to put it down below it's going to be above reset, I believe. Yeah. So right here in game, and this could fail. So because I'm going to be using calloc, so I'm going to return bool. And I'm going to call this create string. And what it's going to do is it's going to be a pointer to a pointer to a pointer to a character. So let me back up a second. We're going to be holding two strings in game. So this will make sense here. Const char, and we'll call this one's going to be size, and the other one is going to be difficulty. Size, so I'm just going to call it size stir, and const char diff stir. Okay, so we have these two, and basically what I want to do is I want to pass the address of this into the function. So I'm going to need a pointer to a pointer, because I need to affect this actual pointer. So right in here, the first argument is going to be a char pointer to a pointer to a game string. One of those two strings. I don't know which one it's going to be. It's going to be one of those. And we're also receiving a const char, a string as well. So this would be our new string. Okay, so basically this function is going to take in a new string, and it's going to take in the address of one of those two that we just put in game header. It's going to take the address of one of those two, and it's going to set that to one of those two, but it's going to heap allocate this string. So since this is going to be heap allocated, the very first thing I'm going to do is make sure that this is not null. If it's null, it's fine. It hasn't been set yet, but if it's not null, I need to free it and set it to null. So I'm going to check it first. So I need to dereference it because this is a pointer, because we're dealing with the address inside this function. So that's why we have this pointer to an address. So, and I do need to dereference it one time each time for this. So I'm going to free it. So sorry, if this is something, if this is not null, it's something, then I'm going to free it. And then I'm going to set it to null. Okay, if it's already null, the if statement will just fall through. Now I want to know the length of this string, and I'm going to use the sprintf to get the length of this string that I want to heap allocate, and it returns a size t. So I'm just going to use that type. I'm going to call it length. And so what I'm going to do is, oh, wait, is this returning? Wait, does sprintf return size? Is it sn? Sorry, sn printf. Oh, it returns an int. Okay. So this function's returning an int, but I will it will be a size t when we use calloc. I guess that's what's happening. So I'm going to cast this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use SNPrintf to find out how long this string will be. So if I pass null into this, and now I should have brought this up too. I just use this all the time without thinking about it. I think this is the let's see this function signature again. So this is where we want to store the string. But if I say null, it's not going to do it anywhere. And this is the size that we want to store. If I say 0, what it's going to actually do is return the size that I would have stored. So I'm not actually storing a string anywhere. I'm just finding out how big the string potentially is. So null for the where it would be copied to or printed to, as 0 for the length, and then we're going to use our actual string. And the reason why I'm using this is because I want to use format. I want to be able to format it to build up the string. Yeah, it doesn't matter so much on this one actually, but I use the same style other times in programming. So I'm going to do the string here because we could do multiple things and add other things in and build up a whole long string, and then it returns the size that we want. And this is the new string. So here's the new string being passed in here, which is going to be here as this parameter. Okay, so this is going to return us the size of the string, but not the null terminator. So we do need the null terminator. So I'm just going to add one. And I think my parentheses are not correct. I've put another parenthesis over here. This whole thing gets cast to a size t. So this whole thing, all this whole thing is doing is just getting the length of whatever this string was going to be, and +1 for the null terminator, which is actually just null. It's true 0, and I'm storing that as length. So now I'm going to calloc this. And I could have dereferenced this in, made a G and dereferenced it, but since I'm not using it that many times, I'm just going to keep dereferencing it over and over again. So we want one of these, and it's going to be size of char. And we probably could put the length over here. It doesn't matter. So that's going to give us our allocation of memory on the heap. Okay. But we do need to make sure it was actually allocated. So I could say, I could either put a bang on it, but since it's already got the symbol here, I kind of don't like that. So maybe I'll say not equals, wait, null. Sorry, not, it is equal. If it does equal null, something went wrong. If this fails, it will return a null pointer. So we're checking if it's null. If it is null, something went wrong here. We'll put a little formatted file type printf, whatever it's called, the fprintf. To standard error. Is that right? Yeah, standard error. It's either going to be difficulty or size. going to be one of those two strings that we're creating. And that looks good. Yeah. Okay. So basically, we're taking this string, we're making sure we're calculating what size it is with the null terminator, and then we are getting ourselves memory with calloc for that. We're allocating the space, and now we need to actually use SNPrintf to put that string in there. So we're going to use the same SNPrintf function, and this time I'm going to use the address here, game string with the length. So we're not going to overrun this thing. Now we have a length involved. And with the string, and it's new string. So that's going to take this new string and write it into this memory spot. But it's length safe, and we've already made sure that the length is correct and all that. Okay, and then we just need to return true. Hopefully that's all correct. You know, C is not the best language for dealing with strings. So we're gonna forward declare this up here. And I'm going to put it right at the top. Because it's above the reset game. We do need one other function. So this is just about populating those strings. The other function we need is how to actually. The other one is actually using this function right here, which is this SDL set window. So we're going to be building up a longer string with the three others. You know, we're going to be using 3 different strings to build up a bigger string. So we're going to build that up and put it here. Use this function to set the title. And I put this one as void, but since we are going to check the error on that one, I'm going to do it as a bool instead. So this will be game set title. And we are just taking the struct. Okay, return false there. Sorry, it should be true. So it's SDL2 code mostly works with SDL3. You do have to change some things, but it's very minor. Let me show you some differences. It's when you're like using some of the functions. So in game, when we go down to how we're printing or how we're, let's see, none of it's here, huh? No, the draw function is going to be different. Let's see. So some of these are different. These SDL event mouse down. In the past, in SDL2, it was probably written like this. And it was maybe like this, written something like that. So this has changed slightly, but it makes more sense now. Also, functions that fail don't return. They return false on fail and true on success, where before they return 0 on success and -1 or 1 on failure. So they're inverted, but they make more sense now. But some of the names have changed too. So if you go into here to Mines, right here, this SDL render texture. What was this before? It wasn't render texture before, I don't think. Render copy? It was like render copy or something like that. I can't remember. And I have, like when I look at my other code, it makes sense, but off the top of my head, I forget. Also, when you're freeing things, let's see here. Some of these functions have slightly changed. They have different parameters. Um, when you're freeing, like it's destroy surface now instead of free surface. Certain minor things have changed. It's not big deal. Like if you're just writing something, you're not going to have an issue. But if you try to run SDL2 game, it'll run in the SDL3 has an SDL2 compatibility thing that you won't know about. You'll just run it as SDL2 code, and it might under the hood be using SDL3. But if you were to actually just include the SDL3 header file, you would need to change things. Yeah, I don't understand what bang GitHub means, but cool. But yeah, there's minor changes. It's not too big of a deal. Okay, so back to the function. I guess I didn't start making it, did I? Oh, it's under here. Yeah, okay. So that we're going to build up a string. Yeah, I'm just going to block you, dude, because I think you're just putting nonsense. I don't know what that dude's doing. Anyway. I don't know. I don't use Twitch much, so I don't know if you're actually trying to put emojis up or you're trying to, like I don't know. The title. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that S in printf again to build up a much longer string this time, because what I want to do is I want to build up the, let me run it again. Right here, I want to build up this thing, this name here, where it's Minesweeper tac tiny tac easy. So we have the length again, and this time I used an int instead of a size t, and I cast it to a size t, so we could see the other way. This would be int length at s in printf, and then we have null. I'm doing the same thing. I'm getting the length, and then the string on this one is going to be a string and a kind of a minus sign, and then another string and a minus sign and another string. And so I'm going to use the first one here. I don't know why it's complaining about that, but anyway, go over here. So right here, I'm just going to use this. Well, this title is a bit longer, but I'm going to use this as my, the first part. So window title. So window title right there. That's going to be the first S right here. This string will be here. And then I'm going to use the size string and then the difficulty string. These are the ones that we've already added to down here. These two members down here, that's where I'm getting those from. And then +1 again. Oops. Okay, so that's going to give me the length of that. And this time I'm not going to put it on the heap because I just needed a temporary string basically. I just want to put all this together in temporary, so I'm just going to create an array right on the stack here. Title string, I'm going to call it, and I actually know the length of this array, so it's length, right? So that's just because I'm doing it temporarily. The other two strings I'm holding them because I need to access them. This one I'm going to use it right now. So this is my buffer right here, and then I'm just going to use this s and printf again to write it into the buffer. So title string. And since we used an int instead of size t for length, I need to cast it. And then we're doing the exact same thing. So up here, this part right here is the same. And let's see here. So I'm using the exact same string that I was getting the length of it before to write it into this buffer, and making sure that I'm keeping within the length that it should be. And then once I have that, now I have this whole string made up, the entire thing that I want. So now I can use the SDL, what's it called? Set window title. And I need a pointer to the window. And then the actual string itself, which is just title string. And that's how we're going to set the title. So, but this can fail, and in SDL3 they fail differently. So in SDL2 I would do this. I would just put it like this, and that would, if it fails, it's something there. But this one, if this one fails, it returns a bool, which is false. So I got to put a bang on it. So it's the 180. It's the exact opposite. Okay, so we can do the setting window title. Sure. Put a period on that. Okay, so what I've done here. This is weird. This shouldn't be here. Okay, let me double check this because maybe I've accidentally pasted something in. So I have I'm using an int for the length. That's why I'm casting it down here. Either way, you got to cast it somewhere. Null, 0 length. And here's the string I'm trying to build up with these 3 strings with the minus between them. The window title, the size, and the difficulty string. And then we're adding just one more. I know my formatter, it puts it kind of strange here, but I'm just going to leave it. That's just where the formatter decided to put the 1 down here. So after we have that length, I'm creating an array for this to be a buffer kind of, and then I'm filling it with that string now. So I have that whole string built up, and now I'm using that string in this set window title. Okay. And if it fails, I'm returning false out of this. And if it doesn't fail, I'm returning true. Okay, so now that we have this function, we can actually use this function. So we're basically going to call it when we are setting the size, the game size. So let's go down here, set scale, not for setting scale, but for setting size. So right here on set size, I'm going to go ahead and call the game create string, but it could fail, so I'm going to check it. Okay, and the string for this one is going to be the size string. So I'm going to pass in the address. I have to pass in the address because I'm affecting the pointer that's being held in game. The actual pointer, not what it's pointing to, but the actual pointer. That's why I need to set in the scale or the address. So this will be the size string, and I'll call this size string. And if it fails, I will just return false. So where is this size string? Well, we need to add it here. So this is going to be const char size string, right? This, right? And now it's going to complain because, did I spell this wrong? I'm worried about this one down here. This one I already know it's going to complain about. That's weird. This one is. That is the name of it, right? Did I not for declare it? Is that what it did? It's right here, but yeah, I have for declared. No R. Sting. Create sting. Up here I've done the same thing, I'm sure. And right here, border H doesn't need to be here. Okay, so the other thing that I was complaining about was the set size now has a new parameter in it. And this is going to be const char size string. Okay, and now we're going to get complaints from the event. Okay, and this will be the end of it. Basically, we need to populate this with strings, and then that's going to do the whole thing. So let's check it out. So since we're doing size, I'm going to call it tiny, small, medium, large, and huge. Okay, so this will be tiny right here. So we're just going to add a string now. And then down here in the next one, we'll call it small. Yeah, right. Yeah. Medium. Large. And huge. Okay. So now it's all going to stop complaining. Except we do have a warning somewhere. Where is this warning? Is this con? Is this supposed to hold on? Is this supposed to be con? No, this is not supposed to be const. Sorry. In game H, this can't be const, or we can't change it. Okay, so now every time we change the size here, when it calls the function, it's passing the string in. Where's the function for this one? It is difficulty size. So we get this string in here, and then it calls this function. So it's setting this string now in game. So game has a size string set. And then when we call game reset, we're going to be calling the other function. So game reset is here. So on this game reset, let me get back into my other notes. That's where we're actually setting this title. And I'm just, in my original notes, I was just calling it at the bottom, but since it can fail, I'm going to put it here. And I'm just going to check to see if it failed because it's returning a bool now. So this will be game. Wait. Yeah, it's fine. The string is already there. Game set title. That's just going to be a G. Okay, so this is going to call that game set title thing, and that's going to set the title. In my notes, I do have this down here. I guess it doesn't really matter. This one can fail, so because we've added it a boolean on this here and return true or false. So I'm just propagating that down. This is already propagating it down too, so that's no problem. So every time now we reset the game or we, change the size, it's going to update the title. But what's the initial title going to be? So up here, I'm going to put an initial state into these. And the way I'm going to do it is just by calling the create string. So this is game create string. And for the first one, I'll do the size or difficulty. It doesn't really matter. Diff stir. And what I'm setting in there, the difficulty when we start the game is going to be on easy. And same thing for the size. Whoops. This is a G. So this one is going to be size and it'll be tiny. Okay, so that's setting the initial state of those two. And right now, whenever we change the size, but not the difficulty, it's going to change. So let's check that out. Okay, and I have not forward declared the other function. The set title one right here. Right below this other one, I'm going to put it. That's where it was in the... Okay. Hopefully that is all we needed. Okay, now let's look up here. Now this one is titled differently because it says Minesweeper and the Italian name of it too, but it doesn't have an initial, it doesn't say the initial one, so that's troubling. We'll have to fix that. But let's change the size of it, or I'll just set the size to normal size now by pressing Q. And now it says tiny and easy, right? But when I change it to the difficulty to medium, we haven't set that up yet. Also, it didn't have the initial state, so let's check out why it doesn't have the initial state as well. Okay, the reason why is because after we have set these two strings, we actually need to set the title. So game set title, and then this is just going to be G. Okay, let's check that real quick. I don't need to do a clean run. I'll just build it. Okay, now it has the tiny easy up there. Okay, so the other thing that we need to add in, just like we did with the size, the difficulty, we need to add in a string as well. So this, where is it? The set size where we added this const char string right here. The difficulty, we need the same thing. So I'm going to add it there. And then down to the function. And it's going to look very much like this one right here. So I'm just going to yank that and put that there. But this one is not the size, but the difficulty. And the parameter being passed in is also called diff. And we need to add the parameter here. Now we have to change so this is all set up, everything's good to go, but we just need to go down to the event loop and add in the strings here. So I'm going to call it easy, medium, hard, and very hard. Okay, and I don't see any errors, so let's see what happens here. Okay, it's saying tiny, easy, that's good. I'm going to change it to medium, hard, very hard, that's good. And we can change the sizes. Yeah, it looks like it's working. So that's kind of how you can change the title in a game and also building up strings in C and whatnot. Let's just cover that real quick. So we did add two members to the struct, which are just two strings. They do need, our pointers to strings. They do need to be not const because you're going to be changing them. And we have these two new functions here. One is just about heap allocating a string. Whatever string you're putting in, it's getting the length of it with the s and printf, and we're adding 1 to it. And that's just going to be a length, and we're heap allocating it using that length and making sure it's not null. And once we've heap allocated it, we're going to go ahead and put that string into that spot. And if it errors, we're propagating the error down. So now that we have both of those strings that we're making, we use those strings in the set size right here. We're doing it here to set the size string. And we do it down here in the difficulty to set the difficulty. And we are setting initial ones up here at the top. We're calling those two functions to set the initial easy and tiny for them. And we're also doing this set title by taking 3 strings. Since we're using this s and printf, we can build up a longer string with 3 different strings basically because it's formatted. We're using the window title, the size, the difficulty, and we're putting a minus between them. And we're also adding 1 on to the end because of the null terminator. So we get the length of that. We're just, allocating it on the stack here, this as a buffer to hold it. And then we are filling that buffer with the whole string that we wanted it to be. And then now we can use this SDL set window title with that string or buffer that we've just filled up. And if it fails, we are propagating that out. So since we all have that set up now, the only other thing that's changed is in each of these where we're changing the size, now that we have a string on them because we changed the functions to pass a string. So we're passing a string into these functions, the game set size and the set difficulty, and we're using that one to call this function here. So we have easy, medium, hard, very hard for the difficulty levels, and for the sizes we have tiny, small, medium, large, and huge. Okay, so I almost thought that this project was done, but I actually forgot one last thing was we haven't done anything with themes yet. So that will be the next video, is the themes, and that should wrap it up. So let's see. So Thanks for watching. I hope that was entertaining or educational. And if you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll see you in the next.